If you answer the question rather than ask it, you will have the response that you're looking for. If you go to my Facebook page, by the way, anyone who goes to my Facebook page, Facebook.com/Neale Donald Walsch, I have a video up there in which I've addressed that question. It's a little 15-minute or 16-minute video in which I addressed that exact question. Let me tell you here part of what I said there. Selena, why we have the COVID-19 virus is because we created it. Why we created it, I mean, the human species created the virus. God didn't create it in the sense of, in the sense of divinity making it happen. Divinity allows it to happen. Divinity allows everything to happen. Divinity allowed, the First World War to happen. Divinity allowed the Second World War to happen. Divinity allowed the atom bomb to be invented, and divinity has allowed good things, what we call good things, and what we call bad things to occur throughout human history, because it's not divinity's job to create the events of human life. It's the job of God, to use a metaphor again, it is God's function to empower all of God's creations to produce the outcomes and the events that they wish to produce, or that they are producing, sometimes even unconsciously. That's why we have the COVID-19 experience. We have the pandemic, Selena, because we created it. Now, why did we create it? Because we don't know what we're doing here as a species. Do you know that 50 years ago, by the way, it's also in this book, The God Solution, it's talked about that pandemic is described, the cause of it. And did you know that 50 years ago, Selena, not 5 years ago, not 10 years ago, 50 years ago, we were told by scientists in a series of books, not just one book, but 3 or 4 books, that a pandemic was inevitable if we don't change the way we are living on the earth. And the pandemic was predicted in specific terms. Did we listen to the scientists and the medical people who were telling us that that was inevitable? No. Are we listening now to people who are telling us that a climate crisis of major proportion is on the way? No. We don't listen, even when those who are clear about these things and give us evidence that it's occurring or will occur, we simply don't listen. So why do we have the COVID-19 experience? Because we created it. Why did we create it? Because we have no idea what we're doing here. We're not paying attention. We're walking around as if we were asleep. Selena, we're literally sleepwalking. And we're walking into the walls. And then we wonder why we bumped into the wall. Because we're walking around blindly. We don't even know what we're doing. But now, what can we make of it? Is there any good that can come from it? There is some good that has already come from it, even though it has also produced the tragedy of many, many people dying, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people leaving their body. However, there is good that can come from it and has already come from it. Part of the good is that we are seeing that for the first time in many, many years, it hasn't happened in a very long time, we have a human experience that's shared jointly by all of us. It's touching all of humanity, regardless of nationality, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of our political point of view, regardless of our sexual orientation, regardless of gender, regardless of anything. It's touching everybody equally. We are getting an experience that we are all one. And we are beginning to create, or hoping to move toward creating, a solution to the problem of the pandemic that is also a jointly created solution, a solution that comes from our decision to act as if we are all one. Even though it's become a political football, even though there are some who say, no, it's all fake news, it's not really happening, it's a conspiracy by all the governments of the world who can't agree on anything else, but they've agreed to do this, and they're going to have a conspiracy. Then they're going to inject us with a vaccine that turns us all into robots. That's the worst science fiction story I ever heard, and people actually believe it. And they say that that there's no good, you can't even wear a mask. It's not okay. So they won't wear a mask, even though in 1911, when we had the flu epidemic, or was it 1919, whatever it was back there at the early part of the last century, everybody walked around because we understood that you can actually spread the virus with droplets when you speak or sneeze or cough. But don't wear a mask. Don't wear a mask because they want us to. It's all fake news. So we have an opportunity to step out of our science fiction story that we have written. We have an opportunity to do the same thing with the climate crisis. Oh, Neale, there's no such thing as global warming. Global warming, fake news. Really? Like the pandemic coming was fake news when they wrote about it 50 years ago? My dear friends, wake up. And that's the good that can come out of this terrible, terrible experience. That we can take something that is really not good and create something good out of it by allowing us to see ourselves as one and to do whatever it takes to help each other move through this circumstance that we have created. It was totally avoidable, but we now can help each other if we will get off of our political point of view. It started to become an actual political issue in the United States. It became a political issue. If you belong to one particular political party, you couldn't even be seen with one of these. And if you belong to the other political party, you couldn't be seen without one of these. It turned into politics instead of science. But every serious medical study has shown that this virus can be shared with droplets in the air that come from people's talking, coughing, sneezing. Hello. What's so bad? What's so bad about this? When you're outside with other people or in a house with other people, What's so terrible about staying 6 feet apart and having physical distancing? Is that so horrible? So you ask a question. Why are we having the COVID-19? Because we created it. What do we make of it that would produce benefit for humanity? We can decide that we are going to act jointly and listen to the best minds among us. The doctors, the medical people, the scientists who tell us that there is a way to defeat this virus, and the marvelous miracle that has been produced by the possibility of a vaccination, of a serum that could vaccinate you. And it's not a government conspiracy to turn you into a robot. Come on. So I have a point of view about this, as you can probably see, and we can disagree. Maybe we can disagree, and that's okay. It's okay for us to disagree, but that's my answer to why we're having this situation and how we can make the best of it.